Hello and welcome to another video in which I will tell you how I use Clark Moody Bitcoin tickers and BitMex order book to help me enter and exit positions in the most efficient manner. Please use my referral links from below the video to open new accounts on BitMex, Deribit and crypto facilities with my referral link, which will save you 10 to 20% on the trading fees, and I'll get a tiny fraction of this for referring you. Right, so why do I use Bitcoin tickers and why do I use BitMex order book? I think these are two most efficient tools predicting a very short timescale price movements. I can see that the BitMex order book is much heavier on the sell side at the moment, and I believe that the big parties, I will call them market makers, but some of them might not be just market makers, they could be just arbitrageurs. They are essentially selling. There was 600 bid here, 600,000 bid, which was buying, but that was just an oddball. I think that was this order which didn't get filled yet. So some small entity is buying, maybe just to arbitrage to another exchange, but overall the majority of the big boys are selling. How do I know that? So there is 1000 buy order here. There are some very tiny and trivial orders on the buy side, and that means that there is no large party which is hoping to get their bids filled. At the moment there are probably a few people, retail traders, who got their buy orders here, and someone who is buying probably to arbitrage someone else who is buying. But overall, to get the price up, they will have to go through all these orders, and it will not be particularly easy. So at this moment, if I were to open a short position, that will be a good moment. But let's see how this unravels. So I'm expecting this to go down a little bit. So looking at the BitMex order book, why do I need the tickers? The tickers give me an idea how overbought or oversold BitMex is. So at the moment it is a bit flat, so the BitMex price is similar to the index price, and I think that that means that BitMex is overbought. At the moment I think that there are plenty of people hedging their bets, and the BitMex price should be a little bit lower than the index price. I'll explain that in another video. I think it will be a video which tells how the derivatives markets are predicting the price of Bitcoin. So here I can still see a lot of sell orders and then one entity buying a lot. So I thought it will go down. I still think it will go down, but this entity buying Bitcoin is messing up with my prediction, but we'll see in a moment. So at the moment it's still a small entity here. They don't have a set of nice buy orders here, which would reassure me to open a long if I was looking to open a long. Now, why do I need the tickers? So I think that the two main markets are BitMex and OKEX, particularly OKEX quarterly and OKEX weekly, and I have them here on my tickers, and these are probably the most important markets. They do large amounts of volume, probably a third or a quarter of what BitMex does, probably more to a third. So if OKEX starts aggressively selling, BitMex will follow. There are a lot of entities which arbitrage OKEX to BitMex, and if I think about selling, if I think that the order books are convincing for a sell, but someone starts aggressively buying on OKEX, that could easily change my mind. So BitMex has large taker fees and low maker fees, and it encourages people to put orders and leave them in the order book, while on OKEx it's quite cheap to be a taker. So more often than on BitMex, OKEx will show this step ladder. So what is expensive on BitMex is cheap on OKEx. It's cheap to keep market buying, and this is what people not infrequently do. So you would see a step ladder, so a set of buys on OKEx, market buys, and then people to arbitrage towards that. So if they see OKEx, someone on OKEx market buying, they would place sell orders on OKEx and then buy orders on BitMex and make money from that. So now we can see plenty of sell pressure, a little bit of buy pressure, lots of big orders. So I think the short-term outline is for Bitcoin to go down. Why do I have some other markets here? I like to see what's happening to the Bitfinex premium. That premium has gone down over the past few months, but it's still very high, and I think that Bitfinex will go down to the normal exchange prices. So I do keep Kraken, Coinbase Pro, and Bitstamp because they are the index marketplaces for BitMex. So I'd like to be aware that one of them trades at a strange price if it does. I keep HitBTC, which is a reflection on the price of USD Tether, and sometimes on HitBTC there are some problems with withdrawals, and you can get a huge premium and you can take advantage of that premium. So if there is a $200 premium on HitBTC, I would consider taking advantage of that, but at the moment the HitBTC price is quite close to the normal price of Bitcoin. And I also have Deribit quarterly futures and B quarterly futures. They should trade quite similar to BitMex futures. And I keep them just to see whether there are any abnormalities. Most of the time they trade quite similarly, and I haven't spotted much abnormalities. They don't take much space on my screen, so I just keep them there, partially because I use Deribit from time to time. So it has been quite unexciting, and again there are these parties selling, not too many parties buying. Now sometimes you will spot a large spoof order, so I think within the next few minutes we will see big spoof orders. I've seen them mainly on the buy side, so when the price starts going down a little bit, someone will probably put a $2 to $3 million buy order here, and this buy order will influence minds of some retail gamblers. They will think, oh, if someone's buying $2 million, then the price will definitely go up. But also it's influencing the behavior of some bots. So there are not only people, not only large entities, but there are some bots which predict prices, look at the order books, and they assume that the order books are true, I think. And if they see such a large order in the order book, these bots might be biased towards buying. So by putting a large spoof on the buy side, that person who is spoofing hopes that people will start buying. He can either do that because he already has a large long position, or he might do that just to fill his sells. At the moment I don't see any spoof orders. I think the order book is very genuine, and we will see how this works out. Another thing you can have a look at, but it's not great, is Bitcoinity order book depth. And I think it's not a bad idea just to have a look at how many orders are on the buy side and how many orders are on the sell side. USD is probably everything you need, but you can look at some other currencies as well. Fine, so let's go back to the tickers and let's see what happens. So at the moment the sell side and the buy side, they are still not particularly even. Up to here there is around $6 million on sells, $4 million on buys, and this is biased by this $1 million buy here. So this person, this could be a single person or this could be a bot, but when this is gone it will be 3 million here, 6 million here. So a lot of selling pressure. And short term I find that BitMex order book is a particularly good predictor, but long term certainly not. And I don't find it particularly helpful to increase the depth and to look with large grouping. I think that a lot of orders here are fake and you shouldn't use them as a valuable predictor of where the price will go. This order book is really shallow, just 100 million, and look at this, it's 400 million open interest. Look, I was wrong. So I thought that the price will go down looking at the order book, but these people continued buying, so I think it will still go down because the order book is still bigger on the sell side. But we'll see how this goes. So there was a 1 million buy order. Now it's kind of gone. There are no, so look at this, there was $8,000 buy here at 3515.5, and I think that means that there is no large market maker on the buy side. So I think that these are all retail buyers, and if you want to figure out whether to buy or sell immediately, you should look at what big entities are doing. So at the moment there are some big sell orders, not too many buy orders, and I think that this pattern in the order book means that the big boys think that the accurate price of Bitcoin is lower. I think that at the moment, because there are so many hedgers, the BitMex should trade around $2 lower than the index, and I think that the big arbitragers think the same, and all the market makers and everyone. I think this is where they are aiming towards. So I think that this price will be going around $2 below this one. So at the moment the BitMex is overbought. I have started recording this video now because we saw some volatility here, so I'm expecting a little bit more volatility, and hopefully that will show some interesting patterns. What has happened here on this dump? Over the past 2 days there were some funny moves. So whenever someone started selling, someone immediately after started buying, and there was this kind of dump pump pattern, and then the price kept flat. This is what we saw. Oh, look at this. This is what happened. Someone started selling, then someone boom started buying. Funny pattern. So it could be some entities which want to keep the support at 3.6k, which potentially have failed. So look here, they started, well, someone started selling, and then you get a chain of the leverages, a chain of stop orders getting filled, and then someone buys. But then when you get another sell pressure, it's all gone. I think the nail to the coffin was this large sell on Bitfinex, which has pushed the price down, and then you get BitMex and OKEX selling here. Funny thing happened on Kraken here. Kraken is a very low volume marketplace. I'm very surprised that BitMex added Kraken to their index, and when you remove the Kraken, so this funny line going up and down, that was Kraken, and now everything looks a little bit more reasonable. I think someone got liquidated here on Deribit. hence the price failed to go up for a short while. Otherwise it's quite unremarkable. There was some volatility on the BitMex quarterly. Otherwise this looked like a legit dump. Okay, so going back to our patterns, what's happening with the order book? Again, plenty of sell pressure. Now I think we are a bit more normalized, so the price of no, I saw 14 here and 12 here, so I thought it's normal, but I think it's still overbought, the price on BitMex swap. So now we can see some more orders on the buy side. This looks more like a bigger entity starting to buy, while on the sell side you start seeing these tiny 8k sells. So I think now it's more likely that it will actually go up rather than down. However, this part of the order book suggests that it's going to go down. So at the moment I have no clue. The order book is almost empty on both sides. There's no large buy pressure, no large sell pressure, so I think that the big entities have stepped out and nobody is trying to buy a lot or sell a lot. I think they have just moved their orders a little bit back in the order book. Okay, sell pressure. So this looks like a genuine sell pressure from a big entity, apart from that 8k, but this got filled. So, and now we have the reason. Look, someone is market selling on OKEX quarterly, OKEX weekly, and this is why that entity which arbitrages OKEX to BitMex is putting sell orders in the order book. Okay, so still nothing exciting on the OKEX. Oh, there was a small move down. Yeah, so someone is market selling on OKEX, and probably he's selling to the person who is buying on OKEX and selling on BitMex, essentially. But this is a very tiny move. The moves in which you can benefit from looking at the tickers are kind of this sort of size moves, when OKEX is really rapidly selling and BitMex is not yet going down accordingly. So the best use is when you see OKEX quarterly dump like this and BitMex still staying flat. To take advantage of that, you need to be fairly close to BitMex servers, which are, I think, in Ireland. So ideally you would want to have your server in the same server room. But you know, being somewhere in Europe close to Ireland is also not too bad. Being in Asia or in America is rubbish, or using a VPN. That will not allow you to execute any orders quickly. So I was hoping to see some volatility and excitement, but nothing is really happening. Also, when you see a massive sell on Bitfinex or a massive buy, that means that in a moment there will be a move following that on BitMex. But you know, to spot these and to execute, you need to be really quick. So I don't think you'll be able to take advantage of these massive spikes on Bitfinex. So again, plenty of sell orders. Well, so I think these could be just genuine retail people trying to sell, but this suggests to me that there is no large market maker selling, because I believe if a market maker really wants to sell, he would put some orders here, 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 and maybe a little bit further from the last traded price. So if you see these gaps like a 10k, that means that the big boys are not selling. This is how it looks like when a big boy is buying. So we could be going a little bit up, so it's a bit contradicting. The top of the order book says buy, but here all these orders say sell. So I'm not getting a decent read. Why am I not looking at the order book on OKEx? That order book is quite fake, and people don't tend to put big orders, and a lot of these big orders are fake. What is true is this market buying, these steps, this sort of pattern of steps. So looking at the tickers means that you don't really have to look at the OKEx order book. Also, you need to have another monitor to look at the OKEx order book if you really want to take advantage of this sort of information. But the latency helps, because these tickers have a tiny bit of latency. So if you want to have if you want to get information as quick as possible, don't use tickers, just use OKEx and use BitMex website. You will get the information quicker about all these pumps and dumps. So again, this 800 buy means that there are no big buyers populating the order book. Right, so I don't think I'll bore you by watching a completely flat BitMex price. I'll just wrap up. So essentially, I look at the BitMex order book and I find it most helpful to help me guide my entry and exit. Particularly, I look at the order books around here, so maybe $5–10, and if I see orders, decent size orders, so maybe above 20k on the sell side, and I want to sell, this is a sign telling me that it's a decent moment to sell, especially if there are fairly little orders on the buy side. So if there are these gaps on the buy side, and by a gap I mean an order which is less than 20k. I also take into consideration the lower part of the order book, and that is essentially it. I was hoping to show you some spoofs, but nobody is doing decent size spoofs. So there are these orders which need to get filled in order for the price to go up, which will not be particularly easy. This is 7 million. And the buy side is not that heavy. It's 5 million, including this 2 million here. So I think the buy side is still quite weak. There is an entity buying, probably arbitraging towards another exchange. It could be one of these Japanese ones, or some other exchanges, or it could be an OTC order being arbitraged. But overall, at the moment, I'm not sure. The top of the order book is telling me to buy, but this part of the order book is telling me to sell. And usually, if you see one of these 3 million, 5 million, 10 or 20 million spoofs, it's not a bad idea to buy into these spoofs, because usually the price reverses rapidly after these spoofs disappear, and hardly ever these 10 million or 5 million orders are completely genuine. So I hope that was maybe a little bit helpful. Please remember to open new BitMex, Deribit and crypto facilities account with the referral link from below. That will save you 10 to 20% on your fees, and I will get a tiny fraction of your fees for referring you. Thank you for your attention.